Well, hello everyone. It's a Saturday night, kind of a warm night here in the Northeast. I thought I'd come on tonight and chat a little about games. We're going to have a gaming chat tonight, is what we're going to do. And just going to talk about some of the things I'm playing, some of the things I'd like to play. And I want to hear what you're playing and what you're enjoying. I played some Apple hockey tonight. Again, a kind of a pile of shame part two as I've been going back and pulling out some seasons and some teams maybe I haven't played yet, and putting them on the channel and playing them. And it's really not so much just for the sake of playing them. It is a little bit, but it's I have them, so I would like to. I'd like to play some of these teams and some of these seasons, and just and because the reason I bought them, right? The reason we buy these seasons and these games, so I want to. I want to play them here on the channel and offline too. I've been doing a lot of offline stuff too, just kind of playing, game here, game there, so you guys don't get bored of seeing the same game over and over. Because I do that, and I did that when I did video games too. I would get on one game, and I just liked it so much. That's all I played, and so that's kind of where I am with some of the things here. Again, I was on that bank shot basketball kick, and then the 49 hockey, and then I was on a football kick. I think I played 3 or 4 different football games. And what did I do? I played season ticket football, solitaire pro, second season, and then APA football. So I played all those in the last couple of weeks. Then I've been playing some APA hockey. I almost pulled out the hockey bones. I was this close. I had the hockey bones out, and at the last second, I put it back, and I played the APA hockey. So. But anyway, so the chat is open to everyone right now. As long as you're a subscriber of the channel, that is. Barbara coming by. Hi, Barbara. Mr. Dufferman. Oh, he's got the Kraken on here. Yeah. I want to talk about the Kraken too. And David C. Good to see David C. coming by. I want to. I do want to get the Kraken on the table. That's why I'm this close. Look at my fingers. Look how close they are. See how they are with the black background. I'm this close to pulling the trigger on the 24-25 hockey season for APA, so I can play that. I know. I know. I do have it in. I think I have it in 49 highlight hockey. I have the PDF for that one, so I'm going to print that out and play it too. But I do want to get those cards on the table for APA. And play that. And so I know they'll have the playoff roster, so that should be pretty good. And so I won't have to worry about that. So I'm going to play some playoffs. So, but I'm this close. And if I do get last season's cards, I am going to get some Kraken on the table. I am. How long have the Kraken been playing, actually? So if I click on the Kraken, let's Seattle. Usually I'm a big expansion team guy. All right, so they've been around since 21-22. So 21-22. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So they've been 4 years. This is their 5th year. Interesting. I didn't realize that the Kraken were around for this will be their 5th year. So they kind of snuck up on me, is what it is. Dufferman said he broke out his bank shot basketball game, rounded the corners on the facts last night. Doesn't it make him so much better? Doesn't rounded corners make cards so much better? I did them for some of my payoff pitch. I'm not going to get to all the payoff pitch teams and seasons because that's just I'd be here for years doing that. But the basketball with the teams being less fewer players, I should say, it was easier to do. So what I did my 76 American League because that's what I'm playing with the Red Sox right now. But from time to time, if I put teams on the table, I might round the corners because it is hard to play with the rounded corners after you get rid of them. And the Kraken, he says, have been 4 years, and this will be year 5. I get Mr. Joseph C. coming by. Joseph C. coming by here. We're just chatting some games tonight. So some of the things that I wanted to play here as Alan comes by as well. Kraken started out better at first than they are now. That happens sometimes. The team comes in, there's a big hype, back in the day, the expansion teams were terrible, right? You remember the 70s, teams would come in, they were horrible. And now they've tried to make sure that they're not horrible because you bring it into a new market, it's very expensive, and all of a sudden nobody wants to watch a bad team. So I'm glad that they made the teams a little bit better so they're not coming in and just getting creamed. But I found that like some of the teams play good initially and then they drop off a little bit. I guess it kind of happens. Um, so, but I'm thinking about getting last year's season. Okay, so I can play the. I'd like to play the. Like I say, some of those. Well, I'm looking at last year's thing right now here on Hockey Reference, and I'd like to play that Florida Toronto series. I think that would be a fun one to play because I remember when I was driving home from. It might have been driving home from D to D in Connecticut because I was coming home from Connecticut. That must have been it. And I says, "Well, I'll drive home on Sunday night and I'll listen to the game on the way home." And it was in the third period, and it was a smoke show. Florida was crushing Toronto, and I was like, "Oh boy!" It's like so. It was a tough ride home listening to that because it wasn't a good game at all. But I'd like to play that series to see if I can get Toronto to do anything. I'd like to get some Ovechkin on the table from last season, as he, making that goal record and the whole bit. It would be fun to get Edmonton, so maybe that Florida Edmonton series or Edmonton somebody, and at the same time, get the Kraken on the table. And I don't know about these Sharks. I'm looking at the San Jose Sharks, and I'm looking at their roster. I really don't know anybody. So, like, I don't know why they're so bad. They had 5 goalies that played for the Sharks last year. Imagine that, 5 goalies. So I don't know if I would play them. Again, I don't know a lot of the oh, I could play Utah too, right? You know how I like my expansion teams. So I could maybe play Utah. Who did they have? They had a lot of the old Coyotes, right? Yeah, I don't even know anybody, but yeah, it might be fun to put Utah on the table. So I'm really thinking about doing 24-25 for Apple. And then I'm also kicking around either 67 or 68 for hockey because that was right after the expansion. And I thought that might be kind of fun to play some of the expansion teams in 67 or maybe 68, maybe some of those teams that some of the like the Bruins were coming of age. They were almost there. The Bruins were almost there. And there was like Esposito and Gump Worsley was still on Montreal at that point. So that might be fun to play. St. Louis was tough. They took Montreal to overtime in a couple of those finals games. So I think I might look into something like that. And let's see here. Don't use Grubauer. I won't use Grubauer. All right. Joseph says that the Islanders are 12, 60, and 6 in their expansion year. Also had the WHA starting up as well. Yeah, WHA, from what I heard, that really kind of wrecked the Boston Bruins because they took Cheevers, which was their top goalie, and they took Sanderson, which is their top penalty killer. And so they got gutted pretty good. I think Teddy Green went to the WHA too. I'm trying to think of anybody else. I think Wayne Carlton over there? There was a few guys from the Bruins that went to the WHA. So, and in Connecticut, we are all predicting a Maple Leafs loss. Yeah. I remember I was so tired, Alan, that weekend. That was just a super fun weekend, and I was so exhausted. And I got to my room, and my room was just a bomb, because of all the stuff that I brought and stuff that I got and extra stuff. And my room was just a bomb. And I remember going in there after we all went out to dinner. Well, at the hotel, we had dinner. Clay and ST, and I think Ray Barrett was there too. And who else? There was one more guy there at the table. I'm trying to remember who it was. I'm sorry if I don't remember. But I think there was 4 or 5 or 6 of us, and we were playing some games, and we had dinner, and everybody kind of went their own way. And I think I was just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna just go to bed because I got the hotel room for the extra night. And when I went into the room, I says, something, I'm gonna be forever packing this stuff up because the room is just a disaster. So I said, let me start organizing some things. So as I started organizing, I said, I might as well just put them right in the truck and drive home instead of fighting the traffic on Monday morning. So I says, I'll try to get if I can get on the road at 9, I should be home before midnight. And so I just started, as I started condensing things and putting things away, I actually did just throw everything right in the truck. And it was like 6 or 7 trips it took me to get everything in the truck. That's how much stuff I brought. And so I had the game on in the hotel, And it was just like Florida was just crushing them. So by the time I got in the truck, it was like 10 or 15 minutes left in the third period, and the game was blown open. And it's like there was going to be no excitement on that ride home. So, and it was the Maple Leaf Network too. So I got to listen to the Toronto announcers try to justify every way they were going to come back, and then at some point they gave up, and they just said, "Well, it's time to blow up the team." So that'll be my ride home from D to Decon. Was that one there? And Rob comes by. Hi, Rob, and Mikey comes by. Good to see you. Good to see you. And Sean says he'd like to see some minor league stuff. I would love to play some my old Worcester Ice Cats in the American Hockey League. There's just not many games out there that have that. So that's the other thing. Appa, Alan says, I have 60 Appa Hockey for 67-68 expansion season. You would enjoy playing those 6 new teams. Yeah, I think I might. I'm looking at this right now on the thing here. So if I look at, what was neat, like St. Louis Blues. If I click on the St. Louis Blues, that's their expansion year, right? Their goalies, Glenn Hall, was a goalie in that team. They had a pretty good team. Jimmy Roberts, the Ice Cats coach, Terry Crisp, Bill McCreary. I mean, they were decent. They only finished in third place, but they went all the way to the finals. The Los Angeles Kings had Terry Sawchuk as a goalie who played 36 games. Now he was 38 years old, but he was still decent. So that'd be fun to play too. Is to play like the Kings, the Flyers, where they have Bernie Perrant and Doug Favell, right? Bernie Perrant and Doug Favell. I don't think they had Bobby Clark at this point, but they had Joe Watson and Forbes Kennedy. Holy cow! Who was PJ was talking about Forbes Kennedy in the chat earlier tonight, and how he was just a penalty machine. So he was on that team. He should have stayed with the Flyers, right? That would have been great. Christopher comes by. Hello. Thanks for coming by. And Rob said it's a bad day. He went 0 for 4 in teams that he likes. Yeah, that kind of stinks when you're playing your favorite teams. That's why sometimes I play like completely neutral teams. I play teams that I'm not going to play my favorite teams because I don't want them to lose, and I'm not going to play my arch nemesis teams because I don't want them to win. So again, tonight I played Hartford and Ottawa. I don't care. I just don't care what happens with Hartford and Ottawa. Just kind of how it is. Micah, you're out in Canton. Yeah, I haven't got a Canton report yet, so I'm kind of hoping that you guys are enjoying yourself. I saw some of the pictures online that Joe posted, so I'm kind of hoping that you guys are having a good time out there. Yeah, I was supposed to. It just didn't work out for me. Too many things over here. So I ended up actually working today anyway. So it did work out a little bit. So I didn't have to miss work or cancel work or anything like that. So that's kind of what I did today. Just worked and then went to the gym and then just been hanging out here. Played some Apple hockey. Now I'm talking to you guys. Obviously, I'd rather be out there playing some football with you guys and seeing everybody because it's always a fun time and seeing what's new. And Barry Ashby. Now I'm trying to think who that was. The All Stars in '67. Actually, Worsley, Tim Horton, Bobby Orr, Stan Mikita, Bobby Hull, and Gordie Howe. No, Tim Horton. Where was he in '67? So Tim Horton was 38 years old with Toronto. So he was still with Toronto. Oh, I didn't realize he finished his career with the Buffalo Sabres. Did not realize he went from Toronto to the Rangers at 42 years old. He went to Pittsburgh, and then he played till he was 44 years old with 73-74 Buffalo. That's interesting. I didn't realize that he played that late in his. He was that old, I should say. So I'm looking at this 67-68. Now I think I have 68, 69 with Hockey Bones. So I do have everybody with Hockey Bones if I wanted to play it and as played with that, because I know Apple doesn't have everybody. They have mostly everybody. But I still could get a pretty good feel of it. And those seasons are really not that expensive because there's only 12 teams. And yeah, they're not that expensive. So I thought about picking up one of those, but I am tempted to get 24-25 for last season. I'm trying to break out of my little shell, my 70s, 80s shell, which is the highlight of my gaming. I really am trying to break out of that, and it's not easy because those are my formative years, and I can still hear the announcers on TV. And let's go to New York for an update. I can still, hear all that and see all that in my mind when I do these games, and so that's why I like to do those years. But occasionally, it's not too bad to play something different. What did I play the other night? Was it 07, 08, Chicago and New York Rangers? And I knew just about everybody, so I was like, oh, I'm surprised how many people I knew. The only problem in the new seasons now is what's say like 32 teams or 34 NHL teams compared to 12 or 14. So it's a lot more guys, and it feels like it's just oversaturated. But still, there's some teams I would play from last season, but I definitely want to pick up one of those 60 seasons. Micah says, I can't play Guardians games if they're on a cold streak in real life. I'm too annoyed with them already to risk getting any more annoyed by them losing in my fake life. Yeah. Yep, it is. And speaking of football, who said football? Who was speaking of football, Sean? So Sean must have heard someone talking about football. Um, and he's checking on some highlights this weekend from college football and CFL and NFL news. Yep, I actually do what I like to do, and I did a little bit of this tonight. I went upstairs. So after I played the hockey game, I went upstairs and I just had something to eat real quick. And I just put on the TV and I was just vegging out. And I this is my time to watch college football is late on Saturday night. And it's all the weird teams. I call them weird teams. I don't, no disrespect by any means, but it's not like, Arkansas, Georgia, or Michigan. It's like, Tabucky Jones State, against, Alfalfa Farm University. So it's always these weird teams on that I've never heard of. And there's like 35 people in the stands, but that's what I enjoy watching. I enjoy the real small schools when they get on TV. There was one on ABC tonight I was watching. I didn't know either team. And then the CBS Sports Network had a couple of teams I never heard of that I was watching. I enjoy that. As you know, I like my expansion teams and my defunct teams and my I call them my weird teams because they're just not like mainstream. So I enjoy that, and I did a little bit of that tonight for about a half hour tonight. I sat down, I was watching, flipping between a couple of games between teams I don't know, and it was just fun watching them play. So that's kind of what I do on late Saturday night sometimes. And Hawaii was on. I do know Hawaii. Hawaii was playing somebody, so I was watching a little bit of the Hawaii game. So I was watching that, and let's see here. Rob says I was. He was talking in real life. The BC Lions lost, Saskatchewan, the Seahawks, and Vancouver Whitecaps on the way to loss. That's tough. It is. Alan says Tim Hortons now open in his area. Great donuts and breakfast. Yeah, I remember he had a place there. I don't know if I've ever gone to a Tim Hortons. I really don't know. And Duffman said, would I go older or more recent? Well, I mean, I guess I could go on either side of that shell. I'll call it the shell. I mean, let's call it what it is. I like my 70s, 80s, early 90s. So if I slip into the 60s a little bit, that's kind of before the shell, if you will. And anything after 2001 when Ray Bork won the Stanley Cup, or 2004 when the Red Sox won the World Series. Everything after that is kind of a blur. So everything, probably for the last 20 years, everything in the last 20 years is kind of a blur to me. And I have a hard time recognizing names because I just didn't watch it as closely as I did in my year, we'll call it the shell years. Okay. So again, the little few years outside of that little bubble, I'm going to know some of the guys before the bubble and some of the guys after the bubble. But for the most part, that bubble is what I enjoy playing, as you can tell from my channel and things I talk about. Every now and then, I get the itch, when I watch TV. It's like, it'll be nice to play the guys I see on TV or the teams I see. Every now and then, I get that itch. In fact, I did buy the Hockey Bones season when the Bruins had that best record ever and then lost in round one. I still haven't touched it, but I bought it so I could play that Bruins team. Why I would want to do that now? Because I'd just be too disappointed, but I have it. Still haven't touched it, so that'll be in the pile of shame. I don't think I'll ever touch that, honestly. I was, they went on a tear. They got my attention, so I started watching the Bruins, and then they did that, and like they went for it, and they didn't get it, and that hurt the team for many years, and it's still hurting the team because they've stunk since, and now they've blown up the team, and there's this in disarray right now. So I need to probably watch like Utah or something and root for Utah. So where would I go now? Again, I like to go a little bit before that, like 40s and 50s. No matter what sport it is, I don't know anything about it. 60s, I recognize some things, but I don't know much about it. Um, and some people love it. And that's fine. For me, it's a little bit before me. And again, the hockey was really slow compared to where it was in the 80s and the 90s. So it's a lot different game. As far as the modern seasons, I mean, I got 2010, 2011 when the Bruins won the cup, which is now what, 14 years ago. Holy cow, 14 years ago that happened. Marchand winning the cup with the Bruins. That was a long time ago. I was a lot younger. I was a lot healthier. I was in a better frame of mind, maybe. And but I'm trying to think, is there anything newer I bought over here? I'm looking at my cards over here. I don't think so. I bought 2017, 2018 Apple Hockey so I could play some Las Vegas games. I think because I did follow Vegas that first year. They were kind of a fun team, and the 3-on-3 for Vegas was so fun because they were so young and so fast. That I loved that 3-on-3. Maybe I'll do a 3-on-3 tournament. Maybe that's what I should do. Is to continue the pile of shame, right? Is to pull out some of those teams and just do a 3-on-3 tournament, whether it's Appa or whatever it is. I could even do that with Grant's game, right? Just try to do a 3-on-3 game. Play 3-on-3. That might be kind of fun. But yeah, so I've been trying to every now and then pick up something a little bit more modern. Again, modern to me is anything after 2000. Anything in the last 25 years is modern. And so, but yeah, I try to sit down and watch games on TV, and I just can't. I don't have the attention span to sit and watch a full game anymore. I mean, on Sundays, if I have the day off and I'm sitting here just watching the football game, I still don't even watch a full game. I watch a little bit and then I go do something, or I go to the gym, or I walk the dog or something. Just kind of what I do, is I just kind of sit here rambling. So definitely ask me if I'm going to go older or more recent. Probably a little bit of both. A little bit of both, I would think. I really do try to get into the modern stuff. Like when the playoff ended this year and Marchand and Florida won the title. Not a big Florida guy, but I was happy for Brad. I thought it was an interesting series, again, against Toronto, and then Carolina I didn't care about. But Edmonton, that'd be fun to play. I'd like to get McDavid on the table because I have 2017 McDavid, but they have 2024 McDavid. I think that'd be pretty darn good. And all those guys in Toronto that were good, that might be kind of fun. Again, play that the younger guy from Chicago, whatever his name is. I don't know why Chicago stinks if they got this phenom, but they still stink. So yeah, I'm trying to find a little bit more of a balance. But I need to play something that I know. If I play guys I don't know, I have a hard time playing a game with teams I don't know. And that's why, Chuck had always suggested to me, if you get a game, buy a season of somebody you know, because that'll give the game a fair shake. Because if you don't, buy some guys that it's all nameless, and the game's not going to mean as much to you. Brian comes by. Good to see you, Brian. Hope things going well for you. Speaking of football, is second season coming out again? Oh yeah. I almost played that again tonight, but I come down here and I was like hemming and hawing. It's like I wanted to do a chat tonight, and if I played football, I'd still be playing football because it'd probably take me 2.5 to 3 hours. So I said, let me do a hockey game. I can do that in an hour and a half. Then I can take a break and come on and say hi with everybody. So that will be back. If not on the channel, it'll definitely be on my tabletop and in some way. And who else we got here? Let's scroll around here. And Sean, Sean, isn't that fun? Yeah, isn't it kind of to watch something that you have nothing invested in? That's a really good way to put that because and sometimes I do that on my tabletop. I'm not invested in either team. I can just enjoy it. And like tonight with those football games, I don't know anybody. I don't know, who the good guys or the bad guys are, if there are even good guys or bad guys. And it's just fun just to watch it and just have it's not like, oh, I hope they win or I hope they lose. You could just watch it and enjoy it. So that's a really good way of putting it, actually. And Rob says, he goes, I'll mix it up. Neutral teams I like, 3 strong teams, 2 brutal teams. Even once in a while, I'll try to coach a minnow versus shark. Yeah. That's a good way to put it, a minnow versus shark, I like how you put that there. Christopher says, I'm the same way, Dave. Growing up, there wasn't that many games on, so when they were, you had to pay attention. Yeah, I mean, if I think about it, okay, we'll go down to the sports. Hockey, it was just Bruins. That's all you got. You got nothing else. Every now and well, when I was a kid in the 70s, was it Sunday was the NHL game of the week, and you would get, if it wasn't Boston, then you got Chicago or New York. It was one of those 3 teams. You very rarely got a game that wasn't one of those 3 teams. Maybe that's the East Coast feed, or maybe that was how it was. But I know those are the 3 better teams. But there was no, like, at least down here, there wasn't any hockey night in Canada that we could see. So we didn't get to see Toronto or Montreal. So it was Chicago, New York, Boston. That's kind of what I remember anyway. That's how I remember it. So for hockey, it was just Bruins or maybe a game of the week, and you get one of the other major teams on. Occasionally, there'd be some college hockey on, by the way. I remember like Saturday afternoons at 2 o'clock, they would have some college hockey from around here in the area, where it'd be, Clarkson or, Northeastern or something like that would play here on one of the channels. And they did that for a couple of years in the winter. That was kind of fun. As far as baseball, it was Red Sox all the time. So we only saw American League. So I didn't see any DHs. Occasionally, if there was, I don't know if it was Monday Night Baseball they had or Saturday afternoon baseball, occasionally you would get some kind of a national feed on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night, and you might catch some National League teams there. I don't remember watching a lot of National League games when I was a kid. So I didn't grow up with the pitcher hitting, so I still think it's weird because I never grew up watching that. Basketball, Celtics, again, just a local team. Occasionally there might be a game of the week on somewhere where you might get a New York team or something like that. And then football, football was, you get the Patriots here. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. A lot of times they didn't sell out. And back then, I don't know what the rule is now, but if it didn't sell out, then the game wasn't on TV. So there was a lot of times we didn't watch the Patriots. So we had 2 channels, NBC and CBS. And sometimes each would have a game on. Sometimes it'd be one or the other. So you'd get 1 or maybe 2 games at 1 o'clock and then the one at 4. I think that's how it was. So you'd get, the Giants. We always got the Giants. No matter what it was, we got the Giants. So if there was a NFC game, if it wasn't Patriots or Bills or Dolphins, it was Giants. So we saw a ton of the Giants. Or I did growing up as a kid. I remember writing in. I think I wrote a letter and sent it into CBS or something. I said, "Can you put more Tampa Bay Buccaneer games on?" I did. And I was like, "I'm sick of the Giants. I want to watch the Buccaneers." No one else did, but I did as a kid. And so, but yeah, I mean, that was it. I mean, you couldn't flick around. There was no red zone. There was no internet to watch. It's just whatever they gave you for the feed, that's what you watched. And so, yes, you had to pay attention, and you look at the scroll at the bottom, and they flash the scores once in a while. If I remember correctly, when I was watching football, there was never even, there wasn't a scoreboard. There wasn't any down distance or scoreboard on it. It was just the game. And every now and then they'd flash the scoreboard up. But yeah, you didn't have the scoreboard in any kind of ticker or anything or any out of town scores. It just every now and then they would flash something or they'd go to New York. But yeah, you if you blink, you might miss it. So, and Rob says he finds it hard to identify with teams and players he'd never heard of. Yeah, and that's and that's again good advice that Ron gave me, and that's advice that I give out. So when someone says, "Hey, I'm thinking about trying this game," or I'm thinking about doing this, I always say, make sure you buy a season that you're going to enjoy. And it stinks because you have to invest, depending on the game, you might have to invest, some more money in a game where it's like, hey, I just want to try this game and try it out. Let me tell you, when I got Apple Hockey, it came with a couple of the modern seasons that I just didn't care about. Stanley Cup teams, I didn't care about. Really, I just didn't care about them. I'm not going to name them, but whatever came in the game as sample teams, I didn't care for. And so Ron said, get a season you like. So, okay, so I got 90-91. That's the season I got. Surprisingly, I didn't get a Bobby Orr season. I got a somewhat modern season with a lot of guys that I knew. I knew the Bruins well. I knew, the Blues and the Blackhawks and the Penguins. They were that 90-91 is such a good season. So that's the season I started with. And when I started playing like the Bruins and the Kings games, I knew everyone. When I played the Blues and the Blackhawks, I knew everyone. I could visualize Brett Hull and Adam Oates and, Mari Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr and Tom Barrasso. I mean, I just knew everybody. And so when I started playing that game, when that guy had the puck and I can visualize their face or their number on the jersey, it made it way better than not being able to recognize somebody, right? So, yeah, so if you have a team of players that you can relate to somehow, some way, it makes it better, especially when learning a game. Now, there's like tonight I played, and there was a lot of guys that I didn't know. I didn't know a lot of the guys on the table in that game I played tonight. I didn't know a lot of the centers, and it was probably half the Whalers I didn't know. But this guy for the Whalers, Jim Storm, look him up. He scored a goal tonight. I think he scored the game-winning goal. I think Jim Storm scored the game-winning goal tonight for the Whalers on my channel. Never heard of the guy, but I played him tonight, and it was enjoyable. So once in a while, it's fun to have an unknown, but it wasn't a whole team of unknowns. That's the thing. It's always better to have somebody that on the tabletop when you're playing a game. My TV attention span is now the same length as a game of battling tops. Yeah, my problem is, and probably a lot of people is, I because I have so many things going on, whether it's the hockey league or it's the podcast or the YouTube channel or, things like that. I'm always on my phone. I'm on my phone way too much, but I just am. I get the Discord. People are chatting in Discord, so I want to chat with people in Discord. I check to see what, people playing on Facebook. That's where I post some of my personal stuff like the coyote videos or pictures of my dog with a bad haircut, things like that. And so, and that's where I do a lot of my chattings. People send me messages, pictures or whatever. So for my things, I can't watch a movie because if I can't sit down for an hour and a half anymore. So my TV attention span is perfect with like a 15 to 20 minute YouTube video. I'd rather come down here and play than actually watch a movie. I've been trying to sit down and watch a Godzilla movie. I'm getting a real itch to watch Godzilla. And yet, every time I said I watch about 5 or 10 minutes and I get up and I walk away, or I get on my phone and I got to go do something. Someone's like, hey, you want to go to lunch or something to that effect. So I haven't watched that Godzilla movie that I wanted to watch. And sadly, a lot of them I bought, like for my streaming services, they're all in Japanese with subtitles. I'd rather have the dub. I don't know about you, but when I watch a foreign movie, I don't want to have to keep reading. I'd rather the bad lips with the American English dub, so that way there I can listen rather than read. And a lot of my Godzilla movies that I own, sadly, they don't have the English dub, which is a bummer. And Rob says hockey night in Canada always had Montreal, Toronto, or Vancouver. Yeah, well, that's what it was. It was hockey night in Canada. So I would say 90% of it was probably Montreal, Toronto. And I do remember, though, I will tell this, and I'll get to the chat. I'm behind on the chat again. I remember as a kid, it must have been a Saturday night. And every now and then, Channel 38, TV 38, which is what carried the Bruins, every now and then they would have just some kind of random hockey game on one night, right? And maybe it was the Hockey Night in Canada feed. I don't remember. But I remember sitting there in the living room, all of us gathered around the TV. I think we were having pizza or something. And for some reason they let me stay up the whole night and watch this game, unless it was an afternoon game. But I think it was at night. And it was Pittsburgh at Toronto. And why I remember this game, I should go look it up. to see what happened, see what game it was. Maybe that'd be a fun game to play. But I remember watching this game, Pittsburgh-Toronto, because both teams had the blue jerseys. And it was a one-goal game late in the game, and I think Pittsburgh pulled the goalie. I think it was Pittsburgh. And they won the face-off and went back to the point. The guy shot it, the goalie caught it and tied it up, right? They dropped the face-off again, went back to the point, he shot it, but the Toronto guy got it, and he fired it up the boards, and it banked off the boards right at center ice and went all the way down into the empty net. And I thought that was the coolest thing I've ever seen, because they don't have the accuracy that they do today. Today, wherever you have the puck, you can find the empty net. Okay, everyone's hitting the empty net. It's not even exciting anymore. Back in the day, someone would throw it down toward the empty net, and you'd be biting your nails to see if it went in. Today, not so much. But in that game there, I thought that was so cool that he banked it off the boards at center and went all the way down in the empty net. It was like a perfect bank shot. And but I do remember that one game being not a Bruins game that I watched one night with my family. And I should go look it up to see when it is, because it must have been somewhere between 72 and 76. And it was just a regular season game one night. And for some reason, they let me stay up and watch it. And they never let me stay up late. But I remember seeing the end of that game with the empty net goal. Long story, but that's kind of the only time I got to see anything besides the Bruins. And Robert, yes, I am. I really wanted to go. About a month ago, things really kind of took a nosedive for me personally. And then when Mike Canistrari said he was flying out there, that was kind of my ride. And so, yeah. So, I kind of wish I was. Hopefully next year will be a better year for me, a better year for everything. I know I'm not getting any younger. So hopefully I'll be alive. I got something on my leg that won't go away, and I call the dermatologist. Hey, I got something on my leg. I want to make sure it's not cancer. Yeah, we'll see you in 3 months. Did you get the part that I said that I don't want it to be cancer? I'd like somebody to look at it. Yeah, we'll see you in 3 months. Great. So I'm calling around now for more dermatologists to see if I can get somebody to look at this thing so I can sleep at night without worrying about it. Some nurse practitioner looked at it and says, I don't think it is. It was not very reassuring, but thanks. So, yeah. So it's fun times here. And Christopher says, you got the Pirates of the NBC Game of the Week and Monday Night Baseball. Yeah, over there, I bet that was. And he says he had the Penguins on Channel 53 in Pittsburgh. And Channel 8 is local TV, maybe had 8 games a season. And flick around. When I was a kid, you had to turn the knob. Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I said flick around. I don't think I had remote controls until the mid 80s. I'm trying to think when No, we didn't have a remote control for the TV, I don't think, till cable TV. I think when we got our first cable TV box must be the mid to late 80s is when it was. I was already out of high school, that you could actually click with a cable TV box and change the channel, but I don't think any of my TVs had remotes. You were twisting and spinning the thing on top of the house. Yeah, that's how it was back in the day. So you found something on the channel and left it. There was no, because if you wanted to change the channel, if you wanted to go, we had channel 38 for the Bruins, let's say, and channel 56, Creature Double Feature. If you wanted to go between the two, you'd channel 56 and then you hit the rotary. Okay, stop. I can almost see the picture. Stop right there. We had terrible picture back in the day. It really was. So when we got cable TV, and I remember the first time I saw the Brady Bunch on cable TV. Okay. All right, let's go back to the Matrix here. Let's talk about this. The first time I saw the Brady Bunch on cable TV, and it was like crystal clear, without any fuzz or anything like that you got off the antenna. It was amazing. I was like, holy cow, this is how it actually looks. Because it was always fuzzed out and, shadows and the whole bit. It looked terrible as a kid. And then you saw it on cable TV and you're like, wow, that is pretty impressive. I like that. Mike in the truck comes by. He's having a fun time out there in Canton as well. I miss you guys out there, and hopefully you guys are having a good time. And Christopher says, in the early 80s, as local TV got into cable, you got WOR Channel 9 in New York. So we got the Mets and a whole bunch of New York teams. Yeah. I remember with cable, USA Network actually used to put on some games. And I remember there was one Saturday night that I think the Bruins were on, and Sports Channel had the Whalers, and USA had the Rangers and the North Stars. And there was one other, I think there was 3 or 4 hockey games on one night, one Saturday or Saturday night. And I was like, wow, look at all this is unbelievable. But every now and then the USA channel, I don't even know if the USA has a channel anymore, but they would have a hockey game on, you know. And then, yeah, the 80s had a TBS, so you get the Braves, yep, and the Hawks. I remember that. I remember we got the Cubs. We saw a lot of Cub games on WGN. So right after MacGyver ended, the Cubs would come on. So yeah, once cable TV come on, you had a bunch of choices. But before cable TV, it was slim picking. So like you said, you had to pay attention because that's all there was. And I learned a lot about teams and players with baseball cards. When I would buy my baseball cards, and I would, in fact, when I play my 70s baseball, whether it's on, wherever it is on the PC or Cards and Dice, I picture those guys from the baseball card. And that's how I remember a lot of those guys with baseball cards. I don't remember seeing many of them play, but because I had all the baseball cards and I sorted them out by team, that's what I got. Micah says he's watched 318 movies last year. Wow. So that's almost one a day. That's good for you. We watched a lot of them back in the day. We used to a lot of horror movies. Like we were a big horror movie fan. And now that I'm later in life, I'm closer to the end. I'm all set with the horror movies now. I really am. I don't need anything reminding me of the end any quicker than it needs to be. But yeah, I used to watch a lot of horror movies, and now I don't like to now. I don't even know what I like to watch right now. I like the sci-fi stuff right now, I think. Like space movies and things like that. That's what I like to watch. But he says only 48 this year. Gaming has replaced it for me. Yeah. I like that. I like the gaming myself. Me and the wife will have dinner and we'll watch some TV. We were watching some series on Apple TV. I think we watched 4 series. We binged them, and now we sometimes watch YouTube, different things. You know what we like to watch? We like to watch like the pressure washing videos, how they do the driveways and things like that. And it's like, because I like to pressure wash and it comes out good. And then we like to watch the landscapers when they have like the grass that's up over your head and the houses have been abandoned. And they go in and they clean it all up and they see the before and after. So we like to watch some of those videos. They're just kind of relaxing, mindless videos. So you can actually watch them, be on your phone and watch that. But they're like 20 minutes long. And so we'll watch that. And then when she goes to bed, instead of watching TV, I'd rather come down here. Even if there's a game on, I'd rather come down here. And sometimes what I'll do is if I'm playing just strict Cards and Dice just for fun, I might have the game here on the computer. Like I think I watched some of the playoff games, the Stanley Cup games. I just had them on the computer here or on my phone and just kind of followed along, or maybe had them on satellite radio and I was listening while I played my game. And so my attention span for watching things is not that good. But yeah, I'm not sure if I've seen 318 movies in my life too. It'd be fun to sit down and list them all out. I've seen bits and pieces of movies. What movie did I see? There was a few years ago that I sat down and I said, I've seen bits and pieces of this movies like 100 times, but I've never watched it start to finish. And I think it'd be neat to watch it start to finish to understand all the things I've seen in bits and pieces. And I don't remember what movie that was, but there was always something on. And I said, one day I said, damn it, I'm gonna sit and watch the whole thing. And I don't know if I recorded it or what, but I sat and watched the whole thing. And it's an older movie too. It's not a newer movie by any means, but it's just funny that how many times have I turned it on and watched like the last 5 minutes or an early 10 minutes or a mid 10 minutes, but I've never watched it from start to finish. And Christopher also says, I remember WOR carrying syndicated games for something called Huge Television Network, which had an NHL game in a week on Saturdays. And I did go to urgent care to look at my leg, and it was a nurse practitioner. And she looked at it, and she goes, I don't think it is, but she goes, it needs to be biopsied, and we can't do that. I'm like, oh, man. Which is probably better than her saying, yeah, I think so, go to the emergency room. But it's still the idea that I have to wait so long. It's kind of skeeving me out because there's a couple other things I need looked at too. Doctor's like, you should go have that looked at by a dermatologist just to be sure. And so now I gotta wait. Enzo comes by. He was the remote. Yes, we all was the remote, weren't we? And Brian says, I'm sure I'm not alone saying I changed the channel on TV with pliers. I don't know if I ever did. If the knob come off, you didn't have much of a choice. But we had the knobs there, and that's what we did. And if like I had a TV in my room one time, and you'd put it on and go to bed, and that was it. There was no remote, no clicking. It's just you put it on a channel, and if you wanted to get up and change, you had to get up. So most of the time, you just left it on. There was just no changing in the channel. But then back before cable TV and remotes and all that stuff, you didn't have a lot of choices. So it wasn't like you needed to get up and keep changing the channel because you didn't have 50 or 100 channels. You had 7, and you could pretty much flick through them and figure out what you wanted to watch and just leave it there. As we talk about TV from back in the day. Ty, good to see you, Ty. Just finished playing some Grid Zone football for his fictional league. Fantastic. That's one game I haven't played yet. I need to get back to Fury football, or Football Fury. I forget what it's called, but I do want to do that. Dufferman says, my first dice baseball, I would always pull out my baseball cards and select players from the cards. Players were all mixed up. Yeah, I see some people actually, when they play the games here on the table, they will actually have their baseball cards and on the table with them. And they have them right alongside their actual cards, whether it's Strat or App or whatever it is. I think that's kind of neat. And baseball, football, hockey cards. Yep. And now I can't name 5 guys. I couldn't name 5 guys in the Bruins right now. I couldn't name 5 guys in the Patriots or the Celtics or the Red Sox. Not complaining, not bragging. I'm just saying I'm not familiar with them. I don't follow it enough. Back in the day, I just had more time to watch it back in the day, and I cared more. I never missed a Bruins game. When the Bruins are playing, I remember, so I got to be home to watch the Bruins. Wherever we were, we leave to watch the Bruins. Or it would have to be on a TV to watch the Bruins, and I'd watch every game. I'd watch all 82 games every year. Just didn't miss it, because back day I worked days. I didn't work nights, so I had my nights to watch the game. And that's what I did. That was my enjoyment. And, that way I didn't have to go out and spend money, go away on the weekends like all my friends who lived at home did. I had no money when I was living alone, so I just sat and watched the game. That's all I did. And I enjoyed it so much. And Alan, I didn't see this over here. Have you watched Ted Lasso on Apple TV? No, I have not. We watched Silo, which I think is the best one. Then we watched was it The Shrinking with Harrison Ford about the therapist? That was pretty good. We watched Invasion, about an invasion from outer space, which is the slowest series I've ever seen in my life, and I turned it off so many times, and she kept turning it back on. It's like nothing's happening. Nothing is happening in this series. And then we watched Monarch, the Godzilla series. So we watched 4 of them, but we have not seen Ted Lasso yet. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen 318 movies. I probably have seen 318 movies because, back in the day, you put on a movie and you watch it. You go to Blockbuster, you watch it. You didn't have the streaming services now, so when you physically went down to Blockbuster or wherever it was to get that movie, you went out of your way, so you damn sure you're going to watch that movie. Nowadays, if you're streaming, you can put it on and, I'll watch it later. No, you only had 2 or 3 days for that movie. So, damn it, you're going to watch that movie. And Sean's trying to get some Strat hockey cards. Yeah, I'm going to stay on top of that. Barbara, she was the remote too, and the antenna mover. I found a picture of my uncle and my stepfather up on our roof putting up an antenna when I was a kid. So it must have been in must have been 72, 73, or 74 that I found that picture of them up on the roof putting up the antenna. That's what it was back in the day. And Mark, good to see you, Mark. Miss seeing you in Canton today. Got to meet Vinny and Joe. So it's a good time. Yeah, I miss you too. I had so much fun last year. That was my first convention, and it was probably my funnest one because I didn't know what to expect, and I had such a good time. So yeah, yeah, I wish I was there too. I'm seeing the pictures, and I'm like bummed out, but uh, things happen, and so I couldn't go, and I kind of wish I was out there. Part of me wanted to run down to the airport and catch a plane out there. uh, I was tempted, but I couldn't do it. I ended up working today anyway, so yeah, just kind of how it worked out. I'm kind of hoping they have one in Cooperstown. I don't know if it's going to be probably a baseball thing. I don't know if it's app or not, but if they have one in Cooperstown, that's a lot closer to me. And so that's only 4 or 5 hours away. That's very doable. 12-hour ride to Canton. That's a long way. And when I teamed up with Mike last year, I think it was over 10 hours to get to his house. And we got to his house around, I think we left at what, 9:30 in the morning. We got to his house 7:30, so it was a good 10 hours, maybe 10 and a half hours to his house. And then I still had a 2.5 hour ride home. So it was a 12 or 13-hour day traveling. And I remember by the time I got to my exit, I was like, man, I should not be driving. I just was too tired. And I was wiped out for a few days. So it's a long ride. And he did all the driving home except, for my ride to my house. But still sitting in the car for that long, it's just tiring. And so I'm going to try to do it again at some point. I really am. But yeah, it was a long ride. So anyway, yeah. I'm going to try to get more football here, and I'm trying to figure out which game to play, and I can't. And I know I don't have to pick one. You know what I mean? There's no need to pick a game because why? But I wanted to kind of find one, but I can't. I don't know which one to pick. I played 4 games the other day, different games, and I like them all, and I like them all for different reasons. Some are easier to set up, some are fast to play. Appa's got all the individual cards that I like, and I like flipping through the charts, and that game feels really good. Second season, it's charts, and it's a lot more dice rolls on a certain play, and a little more chart flipping than Appa. It's still very fun though, and the team cards are great to look at, and they're easy to figure out. I really enjoyed that second season game the other day. I really did. And then, and I'm interested in checking out the fast action cards for that to see if that would make that game play any quicker. I don't know if it would or not, but I like rolling the dice and getting the play and seeing the defense, and so that's kind of fun. The Solitaire Pro, it's an older game, it's an older code, but it checks out. It does fine, and that plays really fast. Season Ticket is really fun. The one that Clay did there, and that's another team sheet game. So I have that I played the other day. I need to get back to Grant's 49 Quick Decks Football because I did enjoy that. It was a complicated game, but I enjoyed the challenge. That was a challenge. It's a challenge, and I accepted the challenge, and I think I had that game moving pretty well, and it was fun. I really enjoyed that, so I need to try to get back to that again. There's actually a couple of other football games that I have over here that I need to try to jump into again. But Brian says, in case I didn't see it, breaking news. Play recently released Football Fury cards with real NFL players and teams. Oh, interesting. That might be kind of fun. What I like about Football Fury, I bought the expansion, by the way. Hang on a sec. So Keith, full disclosure, Keith sent me Football Fury after I played with him in Canton last year. So I got the main game. So then during one of my orders, I bought the expansion set of, was it 8 teams? So I have, what do I have? I think it's 8. I think I have 8 teams that came with the game. And then I have the 8 or the 10 or the 12 expansion teams. It's 1 of the 2. And so what I was going to do is I was going to have everybody play each other once and get that season out of the way. And then I was going to have some expansion. I was going to have an expansion, I guess, mini game where I would roll to see if any of the teams would pull out and move, or if they would stay. And then I would roll to see how many expansion teams I was going to add, and then which ones they were going to be. And I was going to make that some kind of a mini game, but I wanted to get one season done first, and then do that. So, and that's still kind of like on a back burner type of thing, because I did play a couple of games in that series. It was fun. And what I like about that is it plays semi quick, and because it's a fictional game, it's beautiful because you can't screw it up. And I created a couple of different rules, and it just was fun because it was happy go lucky. When you got a completely fictional fake game, you can't screw it up. You can't break the rules because it's not like baseball or football. But these are the rules. I mean, you can do whatever you want, and because it's a fictional game, you really can't break it. It really is. It really is just a big piece of silly putty that you can stretch and move in any way you want. So that was my plan with that. It really was. And back in here, Ty says, I only use the fast cards for second season. I use them for the offensive play and the defense, and I like to roll my own dice. Yeah, Joe, I think, sent me a an image of the cards or a link to the cards so I can print them myself. But I think of my next play order, I'm just going to order the cards out. I almost did the last time and I didn't. So I don't know if that'll be a Black Friday thing, or if I play some orders for second season, or whatever I'm going to get. If I get more golf or something like that, maybe I'll get the cards so I don't have to print them. But I was looking at them and trying to figure out like how to use them. Like would that speed up the game, or would it not? Because right now it's not a slow game. You roll, you get your offense and defensive play. You go to the chart, you roll, you check the the credentials of everybody, and sometimes you got to roll on the XR chart or something like that, and you're done. So I don't know how much faster fast action cards would make that game, if that's indeed what they're for. I don't know what the fast action cards are intended to do. No disrespect. I just don't know if they're meant to speed up the game, or if it's meant just to get you rolls of the dice quicker or something. I'm not really sure. Scott is halfway there. All right. You had a great time in Canton. Yeah, it sounded like it was a fun time. I'm glad you get out there and checked it out. And Brock comes by. Good to see you, Brock. And Mr. Marco. Oh, good to see you, Marco, here. I had my Cubs hat on the other night. I was playing the Blackhawks. I had the Blackhawks and the Rangers on. That was a fun night. Lundqvist and Hobby Boolin in the net. Good time. And Brock says he wish could have gotten a Canton. Just telling myself I put that money towards Black Friday. I know. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? It's like, do you go to the conventions and hang out? Do you save it for Black Friday? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. And Mark says, if you have 4 games you like, play each game for 1 quarter. That'd be like going to a buffet. Yeah, the only thing is, and I like that idea, but sometimes once it's set up, you just want to, it's easier once it's set up just to kind of play the whole game, especially Apple football, because that's the beast to set up. But I see your point. Play 1 quarter with this, 1 quarter of that. But for me, once I'm set up in the groove, the game moves faster and better and quicker for me, because now as I play, all the rules come back to me, and the kind of the game engine, it just makes sense. So if I were to go from one game to another, I'd be like starting and stopping, trying to remember how to play the different games. It'd almost be probably confuse my little brain. But it's an interesting idea, though. It really is. Brian says fictional sports rules. What rules? Yeah, that's what makes them great, right? That's what makes them great. That's why that the Fury football. It's really weird. It's a really weird game, but it's an interesting game. Yeah, and I like how you can roll dice for basically playing against a computer, or have the computer call offense and defense. It's really kind of fun to do that. Alan says he does have the facts for second season. They do speed up the game. I think you would like them. You can still roll dice with them if you want. So what do they actually do, Alan? So what do these fast action cards do for second season? So if I'm correct, you roll the dice to get your play and your defense, right? So play and defense. Then you roll on the chart to see what it is. And sometimes you're done, and sometimes you have to roll on another chart or for a penalty, something like that. So I'm wondering how that would speed up anything, like what the fast action cards would actually do to speed up the process of getting the play and then rolling for the result. That's what I was kind of wondering. Tim says, is there punting in Fury football? Isn't the field only 20 yards long? I don't think there's, there's no punting in the game, although Keith said that, I don't know if it's in the rule book as an optional rule or some people have put it in that you can try to punt it if you want, because it's not a long field. Yeah, you're not right. I mean, you're not wrong with that. What I did is I had a rule in there that at any time you could kick the ball and go for the field goal. But the thing with Fury football is this: once you score, you keep going for extra points or whatever it is until they stop you, and then that's where they take over. So what I did in the game is I put in something where you could either kick the point or kick a field goal at any time just by rolling the dice, but that would be the end of your possession. So if you decided to kick the field goal and take the 3, which I think I rolled 2 dice and it was fairly easy to kick a field goal, but that would be the end of your possession. But there'd be sometimes you might want that. You might want to just take the certain 3 points. So, but yeah, you can punt in that game, I think, but I don't know if it's an official rule. But there was something in there about that. Alan also says they give the play call and defense plus dice rolls for action and play finder all with one flip. Okay. So that might speed it up a little bit, And Sean bought his lottery tickets here, so he said he's gonna buy everyone Rangers hockey jerseys if he wins. So that's what he said he's going to do. So thank you, Sean. Let's hope Sean wins so we all can get Rangers jersey. I want a Park one. I either want Park or Jacquemin. Is what I want. So what else am I going to try to play here? Aside from the hockey, again, I'm going to probably pick up some APA hockey so I can play a couple different seasons. I know I got a pile of shame over here, but I've done a decent job of playing a little bit of something out of every season. And part of me buying seasons is kind of learning from that era too. Especially when I buy some older stuff, and I like to learn about like what happened with these teams and these players, and it's fun seeing players on different teams, so I enjoy that. It's very fun. So looking at that, I thought about APA baseball, but I don't know what I would buy for APA baseball. I really would like to get 2004 or 1995, but to buy that and then the extras, it'd be up over $100, and I just don't know what I'd want to do with that. So I know I have 2004 in Strat, so maybe I'll do something with Strat 2004. And I know I have 95 in season ticket baseball, so that might be the way to go to kind of get scratch my Tim Wakefield 1995 itch out of the way, because I don't have it in payoff pitch. Either ones. Otherwise, I would do it in payoff pitch. As much as I like my APA baseball, they're a little pricey for what I want to do with baseball. I have my favorite baseball seasons with APA, so I would leave it at that. Football, again, I'm playing a whole bunch of different games, and I'm not 100% sure which game I'm going to land on. And not that I have to pick one, because I have all these games are great. They really are. So, but I want to stop playing more football season. I know it's a longer game unless I play the drive-by-drive games, which are okay. But once you play a full game of football, 2.5 hours, it is just so good. It really is. There's nothing quite like it when you play a full game of football. And like the other night, I was playing Washington and Cleveland. And Washington looked like they were out of it. And they drove down and they made it a 24-23 game with just under a minute left. I thought that was kind of cool that they got that close, and we had a little nail biter at the end. I thought that was kind of neat. And let's see here. So I need to add. Here's the pitch to the pile of shame. Yeah, I don't have that game yet. Barbara's telling Sean the Rangers won tonight on her table. Yep, yep. And I think it's a 3 dice. It might just be 2, says Christopher. I'm not sure what we were talking about with that. And then the Mets won too. I don't know how the Red Sox. I was today at the gym when I went to the gym today. They had the Red Sox were in New York. They were playing the Yankees, and I was watching some of that. Of course, I end up the treadmills. Half the treadmills have their own TV screen, and it's like 480p. It's terrible quality, but you get 10 channels you can watch. And so I like to watch the golf. They have the golf channel, which is good. So I like to watch golf. And of course, the treadmill I got on, the TV wasn't working. And I could have gone on another one because it wasn't that busy, but I had already been on it for a few minutes while I was, doing whatever I was doing. I started walking right away. And I was like, God, do I really want to get off and go on the next one? I have to wipe this one down. I was watching the Red Sox on the main screen, and they were playing. I don't know how they did, but I think they hit a 2-run double or something, and they went up 2-0. But again, that's the only time I really can sit and watch the games. Oh, man, the new Yankee Stadium. I'm used to watching Sox, at Yankee Stadium, and I didn't know what field they were playing at. It just was so generic looking. At least, excuse me, the view from behind the pitcher going into the batter. I could tell. Back in the day, I could watch a game. Like if you showed me an image of the pitcher on the mound, I could tell you what stadium it was. Today, I couldn't. I didn't know that was Yankee Stadium. I'm like, ugh. Oh boy. And Brian says there are optional rules for punting and kicking in Fury football. Okay, I knew it was in there somewhere. I did add the one that you could kick the field goal. That was my homebrew rule. But if you kicked the field goal, then you were done. You could take the 3 points and go home. So my thing was if you're trying to come back and maybe you get within 4 or 5 points and you're like, man, I'm far away. It's my last down. I'm a little far away, and I don't want to give them the ball here. So I'm going to try for the field goal. If I can get it, I'll trim the lead down a little bit more, and then they won't have the ball at midfield. So that's kind of what I did. I thought it was kind of fun. Will I play season ticket football again? Yes, I will. I was playing the other day. I don't know if I was streaming. I don't think I did. I think I was just playing it off to the side, but I did have that on the channel, and I'll have that back. I just saw that Football Mogul was delayed, right? Football Mogul for that Clay's game. So Football Mogul 26 is delayed. I wanted to get the Baseball Mogul, because I think he said that in the most recent one, or I don't know how many years it's been, that you can actually just go and play any game. And that might be kind of fun to go do that, because when that game come out, it was really designed, you're the mogul. You're taking control of one team and managing them. And I don't like to do that. I'm not a big manager guy. Even when I play franchise hockey manager, I don't like to manage. I just like to kind of watch the results and play the games, and maybe make a couple of line changes or something. But I think he said you could play any game. So if I could do that, if I could just go in and kind of go to the schedule and pick it, I might do that. I got to talk to him about that. But the Football Mogul, the new one's delayed. You know what's great about Football Mogul? I should pull that out again. Maybe I'll get the new one. What's great about the Football Mogul is it plays so fast. There's no, at least the last one I had, there's no animation, but you can rip through a game in like 10 minutes, and it's great. It really is, because you call the plays and this and that, and just the results are instantaneous, and it was just really fun. It was really fun how fast you can play. So you could actually probably get through a whole season in a handful of days, because that's how fast it goes. But I think that's another one you only play one. I'll have to ask him about that, and I'll have to ask Clay about that. That in the Football Mogul, can you also just play any game, or do you got to select one team and play it? So I should ask him about that. But yeah, season ticket football, I'll be back. I still got to get back to my season ticket baseball. I did another game, and what was it? Was it Kansas City that got eliminated? Somebody got eliminated. So I'm doing a 4 teams, double elimination. So one team's just dropped their second game, so they're out. And I forget, I get 2 teams playing, and the winner advances to play somebody. So I'm getting pretty close to wrapping that up. That was kind of fun. Um, Now, what Ryan? I don't know if Ryan's in. I don't think Ryan's in Ohio, but he was talking about the Atlanta Thrashers and when they started. So I'm trying to see when Atlanta Thrashers started. So okay, so that 99 2000, that was their first season. Um, that might be a tempting season to get Andrew Burnett, Ray Ferraro, Chicken Parm. Johan Garpenloff was on that team. Donald Audette is another name I know. Steve Stales, the Worcester Ice Cats, on that team. Um, Brian Adams, cuts like a knife, is on that team. Damian Rhodes, oh, he was a goalie. Noam Miracle, remember Noam Miracle? Damian Rhodes, Scott Lankow, Rick Tabaracci. That might be interesting. Now, I almost wish it was. Oh, well, that's the year New Jersey beat Dallas, but the next year, that's the Ray Bork year, 2001, Colorado, New Jersey. That might be a fun season to get. You got Elias, Sakura, McGillney, Ravalski, Arnold. Holy, maybe that's a season to get. Brodeur in the net, and then Colorado with Sakic and Tanguay, Blake and Foot, and Bork and Hayduk and Podine, Stefan Yell, Chris Dingman. I don't even think what's his name didn't play in that series, right? Forsberg didn't play in that series, right? So you get Forsberg for 73 games, but he didn't play in the playoff games, or at least not in the finals, I don't think. That might be a fun one. So New Jersey played Pittsburgh. That matchup there, Pittsburgh was Straka, Lemieux, Andrew Ferentz, Robert Lang, Kevin Stevens. Johan Hedberg was the goalie, huh? I don't know. That might be another tempting one to get. 2000, 2001. So I'd have the Thrashers, and if I looked at the Thrashers lineup here, is there any difference here? Anybody on the team? Jeff Argers, Gord Murphy joined the team, and Damian Rhodes. Oh, he was the goalie. Milan and Linka, no miracle. Now let's see how bad they were. So they were. They won 23 games in 2001, and in '99 they won 14 games. That seems to be the norm. When you join the NHL, your first season, you win about 14 games, right? Is that how it goes? You're guaranteed to win 14 games, but you're also guaranteed to not win more than 14 games. I don't know. I'm gonna make my notes here. I can make a case for 2000 and 2001, and also so I'm making my wish list here. All right, now my wish list is getting too big, but so let's see, Colorado over Detroit. Oh, that might be another good one too. Colorado, Detroit. Detroit, Fedorov, Shanahan, Larionov, Martin Lapointe, Yzerman was still with Detroit. Oh, that might be fun. Chris Osgood. That might not be too bad. That might be too bad. When's the last time Detroit won the Cup? So, they won 97, 98, and 96, 97. Well, they beat the Flyers the first time, 4-0. And then they played the Capitals 4-0. Holy cow. Was Ovechkin there at that point? No, that was Joey Juneau and Adam Oates. They got swept, huh? With Kolzig in the net. I'm just kind of looking at some of the seasons. You're just kind of chatting out loud. Parallel League comes by. Good to see you. We're just chatting games tonight. I'm talking about some of the games of the seasons I might want to play. Fedorov just had his number retired. Yep. Good. Yeah. I should probably look into some. That Ray Bork season, that was fun. I remember, we're all pulling from out here, so maybe that would be a fun season to play. 2000, 2001. I did want to play last year, but there's so many teams I wouldn't play. Although I would probably play a Seattle game and a Utah game. I like my crazy teams, so I'd probably play that. I'm trying to think my next football game as far as actual game. If I want to pull out whatever it's going to be, whether it's going to be APA or a second season or season ticket. I'm trying to think what teams I would play and what season I would get. I was getting crap. So I played the what did I was that the second season that I did Buffalo New England. I think I did. That was a second season game I did. And people give me crap for playing the 3-11 Bills. I didn't realize they were that bad till I started playing, and I looked at the thing. I was like, "Oh yeah, 3-11. That's pretty bad." Um, but hey, you got to have fun. And Parallel League says like early '90s hockey. That's when I started to play Sega. Yes, right, right. Yeah, I did a lot of Sega. In fact, that was my supposed to be my summer project because I was like, okay, work's going to slow down. My summer project is going to be taking the Sega hockey games and doing a segment on all the Sega hockey games. Because I think there's like 17 of them. And I said, I'm going to put them here on the channel and play them and talk about each different game and what they look like. There's 17 hockey games for the Sega Genesis. And I never did it. I haven't even played one. It's just kind of how the summer went. I don't know what it is about the summers. I shut down in the summer. I do. And it's like I'm such a boring person in the summer. Winter time, and I'm bouncing around, and I get plenty of energy. But summertime blues is what I have. I have the summertime blues in the summertime. So anyway, anything else we want to talk about here? It is midnight here on the East Coast. I didn't know what else you guys might want to talk about. What are you guys playing? So what are some of the things you guys going to be doing? I know I need to get the 49 hockey back here on the channel because that's been fun. And I want to take because I have several printed seasons, which means I can't manipulate the roster. So I thought what might be fun is to just kind of do a stock team tournament of some kind where I just kind of have everybody start just maybe pick random teams out of a hat and play them against each other and just winner moves on. And that way I could play these guys and I wouldn't have to worry about spending time in Excel. I could just put teams on the table, not worry about as played and just kind of play and see which team wins it. That's what I thought about doing. And it'd be interesting to see if the Stanley Cup champs can win. And I know it's just a one game thing, so it wouldn't be like super accurate or anything like that because anything can happen in one game. But it'd be kind of fun. It's always fun to see if if a good team gets bumped out. Sometimes if they get bumped out too much with one game, it's kind of weird. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm looking over here to my left. What else do I have over here? Oh yeah, I got my payoff pitch 1976. That's kind of like a long ongoing thing. So that's something that I want to get back to, and I'm just doing that from time to time. And that's something like I could sign out right now and just jump on and play a quick game. A payoff pitch is really fun. I need to get back some APA baseball, just kind of a Dave's Classic Rewind would be fun. I am going to dig out my 2004 Strat baseball because I'm getting the itch to play some of those teams there. There were some good teams. Let me just go to that real quick. We'll talk baseball for a second. So if I were to go to 2004, now obviously the Red Sox Cardinals won that. But there were some other pretty good matchups and good teams. So if I go to my standard batting, let me go to my batting leaders. So yeah, I mean you got Bonds, Suzuki, guys like that. Drew. Trying to think what else we have here. Batting averages. Yeah. Guerrero, Beltray. There's some teams here I would be interested in kicking around and playing. Then you got your bad teams, which I probably don't know too many people. So who's the worst team? The Diamondbacks. I don't know anybody in the Diamondbacks, do I? No, not really. McCracken. I don't know McCracken. No, don't anybody in the 2004 Diamondbacks. But it might be fun to play that series. Although Ron told me that the Red Sox wouldn't win a game against some of these teams because that was just a magical run. But was it the Misfits they call themselves or something like that? So I had the itch to play 2004. I'd like to get 95 too, because and I think I printed out some season ticket baseball 95 teams, and I was gonna just play a little what if World Series with the Red Sox and Braves, and see how they did against the Braves. And I don't know if let me see Seattle and Cleveland. Would I know anybody on Seattle? Yeah, Randy Johnson, Alex Rodriguez. That's about it. But it would be fun to play to play the Red Sox and the Braves from '95 to see how that fictional World Series would go. And Parallel says he needs to get back to his baseball league. He started getting beat at Stratego. I don't know if I ever played Stratego as a kid. And Sean's got some sandwiches. That's always sandwiches, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Neil comes by and says, A-Rod, Jeter, Mariano. Okay, yep. Randy Johnson is on 2004 Diamond. Okay, yeah, I just saw his name. Yeah, and Randy Johnson tossed a perfect game. Interesting. And so parallel leagues saw a lot of Yankee playoff games. I think that they were in the playoffs like every year, right? But 95, see, I like the 95 Red Sox. I mean, they got bumped out by Cleveland that year, but if I go to the Red Sox, they had Mo Vaughn and Valentin and Naring and Greenwell and Troy O'Leary and Canseco and I know all those guys. And then Wakefield, I loved Wakefield. Everybody loved Wakefield. Clemens, they had. Don't know too many of the other guys. Boy, they had 26 pitchers. Oh my gosh, 26 pitchers. Can you imagine? Payoff pitch with 26 pitches, 27 hitters, and 20. That's 53 guys on one team. Yeah, no wonder why. Because I was looking at the price for the APA season. No wonder why. If you wanted to get everybody, it's so expensive. 53 guys on one team. They wouldn't even fit in an envelope. Those APA envelopes would not fit all the guys. So don't even bother. Yeah, so don't even bother. So wow, I didn't realize that. So geez, I'm trying to think. Did I print out the Red Sox in '95 for season ticket? Because that would have been 53 guys. That would have been like 15 pages printing out. So that's why maybe I'll do that in Baseball Mogul Strat or maybe Action PC or something. Because I'm getting an itch to play some of that, and maybe I should just do that in the computer. Buy a season on the computer instead of cards and dice. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, Scott, you're exactly right. It's like a football team, right? 53 players. That's a lot. There was one of the basketball teams, and I forget what season it was. Might be the one from a couple years ago because I got Bang Shot Basketball. Excuse me, and I got that Celtics championship from a couple years ago. And so it's like, oh, maybe I'll play that. I still haven't played it yet. I haven't even cornered that season. That's how many cards there are. So I said, I don't know if I'm going to corner that season or not. I might just corner the Celtics and a couple other teams. But there was one team. Now this is basketball where they play 5 guys, right? And sometimes they'll have 10 or 12 in a game. That they had over 30 guys, and I don't know if it was Minnesota or Milwaukee, but when I looked at the roster, they had like over 30 guys, like 33 guys. They had 33 cards in the team. And when I looked, I was like, yeah, I go, what's up with that? What is up with having that many guys? I'm trying to, so that was the 23-24 season. And I thought it began with an M. Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah, Memphis Grizzlies, 33 players that season. Holy cow. That's a lot of basketball players. 33 Memphis Grizzlies. That's nuts. That's nuts. So, um, let me see here. Sean says, so with college football season here and NFL soon to fall, I wonder if you football guys will get some sales from various companies. I don't know. I don't know. I know Clay is trying to get some things out for the football season. I don't know if he's going to have any sales. So Black Friday is 3 months away, right? Because that's going to be in November. So that's 3 months away. That's right about the time I'll have my thing on my leg looked at to see if it's cancer. Black Friday, and it's August. Unbelievable. Oh, man. So, you know what I am going to pick up, now that we're kind of chatting games and wish lists here, on Black Friday, I do hit Downey pretty good usually. And I think it was ST that said he does too, because I want to get more of that player of the game basketball. I do like that game. It's a lot of dice rolling, and it's kind of a big math problem, and it doesn't really feel like a basketball game, so to speak. But you get your stats. I like that. You get your stats. It's fairly easy to do, and you roll the dice and get a final score. So I want to get a couple more seasons of that. I have the entire ABA, and that was going to be my Dave's Classic Rewind. That was the impetus for Dave's Classic Rewind, was to get some ABA here on the channel with Player of the Game basketball. That's why I bought the whole set on sale the last time they had a sale. I think it was Easter. And but it's kind of expensive though. It's not a couple bucks a season, so you got to catch the sale. But I'm going to get a couple more basketball season for that. I don't know what else I'll get from Downey this year. I usually try to get another season of Game Winning Drive or something like that. I bought some Canadian football from them with Game Winning Drive, so I'm gonna get some of that. I want to get back to playing the Player of the Game. It's a tough game to stream because it's just kind of like putting numbers in spreadsheets, and it's really not interesting at all till you start rolling the dice and then you start building the scores. And let's see. So let me get back in the chat here. And Scott says, I know because he has the game. And Brian says the Cubs set an MLB record using 69 players in 2021. Wow. Yeah, I think that's why Joe Bryan from Payoff Pitch is starting to offer, what is it, the 25 or the 30 player sets. So that way there you don't have to buy the bloated sets with every player because of how many pitchers they are using. And so he's been doing that. So it's, and I like that. I like having options that if you want to buy them all, there you go. If not, then you can just buy the standard guys and be happy with that. So I like that there. Scott also says, imagine status pro football with every player in those tiny car. Oh, yeah. I don't think so. I don't think so. And they're meant to use 43 different pitchers this year. That'll be a lot of ink paper for season ticket next year. Yeah, I might want to, now that I think about it, if I want to play 95 or 2004, maybe I'd just be better off just playing on the PC, right? Oh, by the way, I did fix, at least, yeah, I think I fixed my replay PC baseball problem. Okay, so I went into replay PC baseball, and I was just trying to figure out how to put in the manual entry. I was like, let me try this. Maybe this will work. And I didn't have any of the graphics. I didn't have any of the pictures, and I couldn't figure it out. And so I went into the area where you're supposed to download the packet to install it, and it wouldn't. I couldn't get that to work. And I'm like, it's saying, "Oh, you can't download. You can't download. You can't download." And I'm like, "What is the problem?" So I've been going back and forth with people, and Pete's got back to me a couple times. I'm showing him the error messages, and they're not really error messages. It's just not downloading. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's normal. Just download. That's normal." And I'm like, "But it's saying that it can't download." Well, I went back and looked at it again today, and turns out that you go to download and it says can't download, but then there's a download button, and the download button actually works. It's just kind of a funky way that, but I did finally download all my graphics for Replay PC Baseball, so I should be good to go. The basketball is all done. I don't know why the basketball had no issue, but the baseball, I just fighting that. You know, when you do the drop down menu, say download, it says can't download. So I gave up, but then beneath that, it was the manual download. So I didn't put two and two together, because sometimes I don't put two and two together. And Christopher says he's going to get 74, 75, 70, 71 for Hockey Blaster and Black Friday sale. Yep. I have both of those. In fact, I redid the entire one. Was it 70, 71 or 74, 75 for some of the teams? I redid a bunch of teams, and it took me a long time. I did them in, I don't know, one of those graphic programs, Affinity Designer or something like that, and I took all the cards and I laid them out, and I set up a template with the size of the play cards, and just set it all up to look like a play card. And then I just went in and typed in names and deleted or added the qualities and the triangles. And I did a whole bunch of teams. I think I might have done the 70-71 season. There was one season I did everybody. And I put like the players in the background. So instead of just having those blank cards that would just text, you know how the newer cards are a lot more color, and they have like the silhouettes in the background. That's kind of what I did, is I mocked them all up, and I did a bunch of teams from 74, 75, like the Scouts and the Bruins and the Blackhawks and stuff like that. And so I made them look really, really nice. They come out really nice. It took me a long time, and you got to double check everything. You got to type the name right, and then the position, and then make sure the qualities and the stars. It was a lot of work. But I redid a bunch of the teams from those seasons there. But it was a fun time. But anyway, so, well, I'm going to wrap it up here. I just want to come on and have a little positive gaming chat, as I'm talking about some of the fun things I'm looking to do. And now I've convinced myself to look at another season of Apple Hockey that I wasn't planning on, but trying to step out of my little bubble of 70s, 80s when it comes to certain sports and certain things. And I think hockey is going to be the first venture outside of that. And then I'm also trying to figure. I don't know if it's going to be second season of APA. I want to get back on the table here tomorrow, because tomorrow's what, Sunday? Today's Saturday. I think today's Saturday. So I'm sitting around tomorrow taking care of things, and I'm going to try to slip on here after the gym and get some more football going, depending how it goes. I got to see how the day goes. But anyway, all right. Thanks for coming by. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and we shall talk to you all later. Bye-bye.